Hi. So we're here on another Wednesday, and this week we're talking about Chief Powhatan. So Chief Powhatan is remembered as being the father of Pocahontas, and he's also remembered for joining many different tribes together at a time when they might not have been as holistically communal in that sense. He brought people together. That's at least how he's remembered, and, also remembered as being very closely to the Tidewater region of, the East Coast. So, at this point, I do try to emphasize carefully the information that I find because it could be that Chief Powhatan is remembered in ways on the surface that might be a bit different than uh, how certain resources would describe his role. And that's true about anyone, that's true about everyone, most definitely. But just knowing how historical narratives are managed, I'm emphasizing more how Chief Powhatan is remembered. And I didn't dive that deeply into the research, just like with any other person that I put as the forefront for inspiring some travel itineraries. So this week, we're just going to do the same thing that we normally do. It just so happens that Chief Powhatan, I clearly identifies as being Native or Indian, just like Charles Curtis. And I think there's someone else later this month. So those connections aren't intentional, being that they're grouped together at this point in time, but there was intentionality in choosing a balance of different identities tied to identities as they're listed on the United States Census. So there has been a heavy focus in certain areas at the beginning of the year, but that's a coincidence, or, maybe there are no coincidences, but it's determined for me by alphabetically listing the names, not by last name, but just from and with the first and last name and any initials that might have been used or be common in researching the person. So just to kind of explain that the way things are working out, they're kind of interesting and surprising for me too. And just like I'm not doing very deep research week to week, it's just really kind of a fun way to learn new things and be inspired to travel. I'm also very surprised to see the patterns that come about. So that means that later in the year, there will be patches of time where we'll be focusing on different identities. And it seems like later in the year, we'll find a different focus. So I just want everyone to know that I intentionally balanced everything throughout the year. But as far as how things are grouped at certain times, it's a little bit out of my control, and it happened just because of the way names are aligned alphabetically. If anyone has any questions, you're welcome to send a message. If you've sent me messages but I haven't responded, it's because I haven't received them. So if for some reason you send maybe a chat, I'm not able to see your chat messages. I'll pay more attention to it. I do have the live chat on. I did have top chat. Now I changed it to live chat. I don't know if that makes a difference. But also, if you send emails, I check my email regularly. I haven't seen emails directly relating to questions for workshops or anything like that. And then also for my Instagram, if you send any messages there, I don't check there as often, but I do check there, and I'll have to get a little bit better about that. But either way, I welcome the communications, but that might not mean that I'm receiving them. All right, so let's just go ahead and get started. We'll find a quiz focusing on Chief Powhatan and see how that goes. Getting back into the swing of things after taking a week off. Another thing that came up is the spelling of his name, whether or not it has an H. I think it's more common to have the H in there. Questions, there's Wayground, the Powhatan Confederacy. Powhatan managed to bring about some peace between the Native Americans and colonists. Powhatan, Chief Powhatan, who was the leader of Powhatan Confederacy. So that's the other thing. Chief Powhatan and the Powhatan Confederacy. Let's just see what this quiz has here. So use this activity. And the referendum. I think we might have to find a different one. This is just the preview. There's play live. Continue with Google. I know that I've looked at Wayground quizzes here in the past, but I don't think I've used one. I need to try it some other time when I'm not in one of the workshops. Quiz and worksheet. Here's a Quizlet one. Helpteaching.com, Powhatan tests and worksheets, 27 questions. Coot. Course Hero. This one looks good. How many questions? 10. Cool. Let's try it. Powhatan Confederacy Test Your Knowledge quiz. 1. What was the Powhatan Confederacy primarily known for? A large singular tribe in the Great Plains, a European trading company, a network of dozens of indigenous tribes in Virginia, a colonial militia group. Going for a network. 2. Who was the leader of the Powhatan Confederacy during the arrival of the English settlers in 1607? Chief Powhatan, Pocahontas, John Smith, Chief Opechancanough. I apologize. I'll try that one more time. Opechancanough. I don't know if it's Opechancanough. I'm not sure. I'm going to go for Chief Powhatan. In what year did the English establish the Jamestown colony, initiating direct contact with the Powhatan Confederacy? Now, Jamestown, I should know the year of Jamestown. I don't think it's 1607. I think it's 1619. It must have been 1607, actually. And what year did the English establish the Jamestown colony? Yeah, Jamestown was right away. Which of the following was a result of the First Anglo-Powhatan War? The marriage of Pocahontas and John Rolfe, the establishment of the House of Burgesses, the introduction of tobacco cultivation, the complete defeat of the Powhatan Confederacy. The introduction of tobacco cultivation. I thought that it was mining for gold. Isn't that the story? Maybe the two of these things go hand in hand. I'm going to guess the introduction of tobacco cultivation because I think it had more to do with use of the land. Which resource was crucial to the economy of the Powhatan Confederacy? Silver, furs, tobacco, maize. Maize. Crucial to the economy of the Powhatan Confederacy. The Powhatan Confederacy. So the question here for me is how economy is defined. Because are we saying how the Powhatan Confederacy traded with colonial settlers? Or is it what was most valuable for Powhatan outside of that? I'm going to guess it's the first one. Which resource was crucial to the economy? And I think the answer is corn. But I personally think my best answer would be furs. The Powhatan Confederacy, crucial to the economy, because I think corn was too widely available to be economical, if that makes sense. I don't know. I'm not sure how this is being, like what it really means. I'm probably thinking too much about it, and the answer is probably just corn. But I want to go for furs and see what happens. How did the Powhatan Confederacy primarily interact with the English settlers when they first arrived? Immediate warfare, assimilation into settler society, complete isolation from the settlers, trade and diplomatic relations. I don't think it was immediate warfare. But if we go back to this question, there was a question about war. Yeah. I think it was trade and diplomatic relations. I think that was probably the start of it. Complete isolation. Who succeeded Chief Powhatan as the leader of Powhatan Confederacy? Wahun's Sonokuk, John Rolfe, Pocahontas, Chief Opechan. I'm just going to go for the chief that was mentioned earlier. I really don't know neither of the names. I mean, the first and last names don't sound familiar to me at all. I don't think it's John Rolfe or Pocahontas. What significant event occurred in 1622 that escalated tensions between the Powhatan Confederacy and English settlers? The signing of a peace treaty, a massive attack on the English settlers by the Confederacy, the introduction of European diseases, the discovery of gold on Powhatan land. There wasn't any gold. There was a search for gold, but there wasn't any gold. A signing of a peace treaty? I don't think so. A massive attack on the English. I'm taking a long time with this question. All right, sorry, this quiz. A massive attack on the English settlers by the Confederacy, the introduction of European diseases. Escalated tensions. I think it was disease. This quiz is really throwing me for a loop because I'm not sure if it's surface level or a little bit deeper. All right, which of the following was not a factor in the decline of the Powhatan Confederacy by the 17th century? I don't think I scored very well on this quiz. The introduction of the printing press, disease brought by Europeans, wars with English settlers, loss of land and resources was not a factor in the decline. That's my best guess. What was a common agricultural practice among the Powhatan Confederacy? Terrace farming, monoculture cropping, slash and burn agriculture, livestock grazing. Slash and burn agriculture. I don't think slash and burn was in the Tidewater region. I don't think that's where slash and burn was. I think terrace farming, even though I'm not really sure what it is. I don't think monoculture cropping either. Oh, I don't know. The obvious answer is supposed to be slash and burn. but I'm pretty sure that was further west. I don't know. I'm going to guess terrace farming. And now I'm going to guess the score that I got on this quiz. Generated by AI? Ooh. How'd I do? I'm guessing I did pretty rough on this. I'll be nice and say I got a 60. I think I got more of a 40. I did score 6 out of 10. Um, it was helpful, but I would like to see the answers before I answer that question. Just a minute. So a network, Chief Powhatan, Jamestown Colony. The 1614 peace was sealed with the marriage of Pocahontas, daughter of Chief Powhatan, to the colonist John Rolfe. This union is often highlighted as a notable outcome of the First Anglo-Powhatan War. Oh, wow. I hadn't thought about it. I don't remember hearing about it that way. An outcome of the First Anglo-Powhatan War. Yep, this one's corn. Was a staple crop and crucial part of the economy for Powhatan Confederacy, supporting their agrarian society. Trade and diplomatic relations. Just seems like that's what would have happened from the beginning. Chief Powhatan's brother or half-brother. The 1622 massacre, led by Chief Apichanal, and I should probably stop trying to say his name, was a coordinated attack against the English settlers, killing about 1/3 of the Jamestown colony's population. This event significantly escalated tensions and led to further conflicts. This was in 1622. (1614) was the marriage. Which of the following is not a factor? And slash and burn. Confederacy practiced slash and burn agriculture, clearing forests by burning and then planting crops like maize, beans, squash in the cleared fields, to practice common among many individuals. I thought that one might be wrong. So keep going and decide what we'll do. So Chief Powhatan, time frame. Think much about the time frame anyway. I think with Charles Curtis, the idea was to focus on spring. Not sure if that really ended up happening. So I'm just going to say year round. Of course, we're doing our do one little itinerary before the day is over. Should I just have this itinerary connect to different questions? Yeah. So we could say, and by the way, I think I'm going to focus in the Tidewater region. No? Oh, I'll have to do a little bit of research about some things. So, too, and I know that I'm focusing on AI, and even the research that I'm doing should include, if I'm really making genuine conclusions, more resources, many more resources. So this is just for the sake of the workshop, just to expand a little bit on what AI had in the quiz, even though we're still asking AI a lot of the times. I'll look at some of the sites. I need to do better with clicking on the different sites. So where was the practice of slash and burn farming most, I want to say prominent, but I just want to say a common's fine. For, I'm just going to say for Native Americans. It was not, it was not a Western practice like that. I'm not saying that there was no use of the practice. I just don't think it was a defining characteristic for Powhatan. And then I'm also kind of confused about calling the Powhatan community the Powhatan Confederacy. That's new for me. I don't remember hearing it that way before. The other question that I had was about fur, impact of fur on the native Powhatan community. I don't remember stating at the beginning of this workshop that any interference is not intended to impact the workshop. All right, so the fur trade, particularly in beaver pelts, fundamentally transformed the Powhatan community by shifting their economy toward European trade dependency, replacing traditional materials with metal tools, and creating ecological pressure. While providing early access to desired goods, it accelerated dependency, caused environmental over exploitation, and contributed to cultural shifts. Powhatan here, indigenous tribes, traditions, colonizers' impact, Native American agriculture in Virginia. I don't see anything about fur. Oh, here we go. How indigenous people are strengthening fur traditions in an anti-fur world. Artisans and trappers from the Northwest Territories say using fur is humane and sustainable. Inuvialuit culture and educate others about the beauty and utility of fur. Inuvialuit fashion designer Talrumig says she knows firsthand how using real animal fur can foster harsh criticism and anger in people who are against fur industry. This isn't what I'm looking for. I'm really looking for something about the 15 and 1600s. Impact of fur in the 50s, 1500s. Well, mm, fur trade primarily impacted the Powhatan community by driving increased interaction with Europeans and transforming hunting from a subsistence activity into a commercial venture. Powhatan beaver and other furs for valuable English goods like metal tools, copper, and glass bead. The specialization strained local ecosystems and intensified reliance on conflict with the Jamestown colonists. So look for what seems to be the best source, describes Powhatan, the Powhatan tribe, the culture of the Powhatan tribe in the 1500s, connect things to do to include in the week of itineraries. So I'll do lifestyle. It's a culture of Powhatan. I could say try in 1500s. Just go with Jamestown, New York Town Foundation. Chronology of Powhatan Indian activity, political organization in early Virginia Indian society, Powhatan in Virginia, Powhatan Facts for Kids, Confederacy, Our History of Monacan Indian Nation. Unlike the bands who maintained an appearance of friendly relations with the colonists, the Mohawk appeared to want little contact with the English, uncovering a major landmark, Monacan. Once used by Virginia's chief Powhatan organized various tribes Bay. Chesapeake Bay program, Powhatan Facts for Kids, the Powhatan. Welcome the English settlers, Indians. All right, it's a little bit later than I'm looking for. I made that mistake the other day. Yeah. Or I guess it's the number instead of the time. It's got to be the number of people. In the 1500s, North America was occupied by approximately 13,000 to 14,000 Powhatan Indians. Powhatan's people farmed as well as hunting and gathering food. Lost city of Powhatan long assumed that Powhatan founded where Komoko, the age of ditches, astonished archaeologists and changed their understanding. All right, lost city of Powhatan. Found finally trying through swamp. The same time Smith was invited, survival artifacts, 2,000 feet, 1608. That time frame. So we're just going to have to go ahead and get started with the itineraries with what we have. Powhatan religion and language, central aspects of the culture, were gradually replaced by Christianity and English. The people still raised crops, hunted. So maybe there will, even though the focus is, yay, the first in 1584. When Christopher Columbus landed on the shores of the Western Hemisphere, or more precisely the West Indies, he believed a trade route to Asia. Thinking he had landed in India, he called the native people Indians. The coastal groups in Virginia were encountered European explorers in the 1520s. During this early period, the natives likely traded with Europeans to give them freshwater fruit and meat. The first English colonists arrived in North America in 1584 at Roanoke Island in what is now North Carolina. The next year, a group of these settlers explored southeastern Virginia. The Roanoke colony found it difficult to survive and ran out of food and supplies. In 1590, when the colony leader John White returned from England, he found the settlement deserted. What happened to the lost colony remains a mystery to this day. The first English colony in North America that managed to survive began in Jamestown in 1607. Although the settlement also ran out of supplies and nearly perished, it grew as numbers of colonists arrived. I don't know. It's funny how Christopher Columbus is left out when people talk about Jamestown. Like Christopher Columbus probably should be mentioned more because it's easy to forget about Christopher Columbus when thinking about John's. The 1520s, 1492. And then we have a century later. What was going on during that century? That was a whole century of things not much talked about. Anyway. So Powhatan, chiefdom, colonists first arrived, name chiefdom, same villages, same people, same rules, in front of Powhatan, paramount chiefdom, same rule. Daughters and sellers brought them different tools, clothing, lifestyle, need for land during a decade. Encounters between colonists and Indians were often hostile. Some 22, brother. On his first coordinated attack, expelled settlers, selling it. Oh. Anyway. Are we just going to go to different reservations throughout the country? All right, we're going to just choose different reservations. I'm not going to go deep into activities at the reservations. I'm just going to list different reservations. And then before releasing itineraries, probably find things to do around the reservations and not try to push for things to do on the reservations, but just understanding where the reservations are. So we'll look for the five, well, let's look for the largest reservations. So there are five here: Navajo, Arizona, Utah, Arizona, South Dakota, South Dakota. So Arizona, the Arizona area, we have Navajo and Tohono. The South Dakota area, we have the Cheyenne and the Pine. And then Utah is far enough west and north from Arizona and South Dakota. But I'm going to look for two reservations. I'm going to look for one that's much more eastern. And if we can find two, I might do two. And I'll see if I can find one that's on the East Coast and one on the West Coast. Yeah. Okay, so we'll do Navajo and Cheyenne. And Uinta. And Auray. Largest reservations on the East Coast. Pamunkey, Mushantucket. So we'll do the Pamunkey. The Lumbee. Find a different different one? There's another one. The majority of the largest U.S. reservations, such as 60-million-acre Navajo Nation, located in the West. Let's just say reservations on the East Coast of the United States. St. Regis. For some reason, St. Regis is a winner. I haven't been doing the cards, but St. Regis is St. Regis Mohawk. West Coast. And I know earlier, I think I spoke what I wanted to say about the eastern woodlands, right? But the west of Tidewater. They're significantly west of Tidewater, even though they're the eastern woodlands. So either way, because now I'm thinking, I'm just confused, but I think that's right. Just doing my best to end the hour with a better understanding. All right, let's say reservations on the west coast of the United States. We're just going to choose, well, I'm looking for one in California. Karuk. We'll just go for the Karuk. And then do the itinerary to finish up the hour. Again, I haven't found, I'm going to find an activity to do near the Karuk. St. Regis. We were kind of close to the St. Regis. This was not on a workshop. This was for something else I was doing. And I found something pretty close, I'm sure, to St. Regis. Maybe it was close to the Great Lakes. Maybe St. Regis is close to the Great Lakes. I mean, but what I found when I was doing some planning for another itinerary, I should be able to start advertising soon. I found reservations kind of in the New York area. Anyway, Unita, Cheyenne, Navajo. Okay, so we're just going to go with the Navajo. Find something to do. Tourist attractions close to, but not on Navajo reservations. Bureau of Land Management include exploring the scenic Valley of the Gods, hiking the Toadstool Hoodoos near Kanab, and driving the dramatic Moki Dugway. Other top options include visiting Hubbell Trading Post, touring the Grand Canyon West Rim, and exploring Page, Arizona sites like Lake Powell. Let's see if there's fur. Because I'm thinking of one of the books, and it looks like the woman kind of is wearing fur, like a thick jacket. So let's see if there's a fur trading post. Maybe not for Navajo Nation. Authentic native artisan goods and supplying local needs. Let's see, trading post. The fur trading post, Fort Union, was established in 1828 by American Fur Company located at the confluences of Yellowstone and Missouri. So I'm going to look for fur. Christina McDonald McKenzie Williams. Christina McDonald McKenzie Williams was a multi-ethnic, multilingual fur trader, interpreter, rancher, and businesswoman who gained skills growing up in what is now Lake Roosevelt Recreation Area that served her for a lifetime. Archaeology, Fort Union Trading Post, and National Historic Site. So the fur trading post, Fort Union, located at the confluence of Yellowstone and Missouri rivers, the trading post was used from 1823 to 1867. The post became the National Historic Site in 1966. So it doesn't seem like it's still open. All right, so we only have a few minutes left. So I'm going to list just the Twin Rocks trading post. No, the Teak Nos Post trading post. All right. That's Arizona. We know that we know that this is Navajo Nation. Okay. The Teak Nos Post, trading post, for fur, maybe. And then we're going to look for one of the books. I know this is really, really quick. Running short on time. The name of the book is Braided Lives. Braided Lives Anthology. Yay! This is what we're looking for. Okay, so it seems like more of a blanket than fur, but I think it. So. Let's wait for this to load and paste. We could say various for the sake of time. I'll put Arizona. And then we'll say, I'm going to say Dawn for Save the World. Because just like it was briefly mentioned in the article, using furs, especially if they're, I guess, humanely or respectfully obtained. So that's it for this week. And it's 8 o'clock. So until next reach out loud.